Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? As per usual on Thursdays, I'm your host, Richie T, also known as Richie, also known as Richard T, also known as Richie T. We're going to get through today, I promise. And today I'm bringing you something interesting. So, last week, as you guys know, or about 2 weeks ago, I did a poll asking people what deck I should play because I was torn between two. Well, in the comments, one of my good friends, Jake, mentioned playing Living End. And I was like, sure, I can see Living End being good now that people are going down on their graveyard hate, so why not give the deck a try on stream, especially if people are interested in it. I always want to give the people what they want. Well then, right when I decided I was going to give Living End a try on stream, Jim Davis came out with a video with Living End, but it was this deck, which he titled Liquid End. So let's go over what this deck is, shall we? So we have our traditional 20 lands, which most Living End decks will play, a bunch of fetches, some shocks, a basic, and a couple fast lands. As per usual, we have cyclers in the deck. We got Street Wraith and Desert Ceradon, which are pretty common. But what's not common is this deck is playing the blue cyclers instead of playing the red-green or red-black cyclers. So we have Curator of Mysteries, Striped Riverwinder, Windcaller Aven, and Glass Dusk Hulk. Now, a lot of these cyclers came out in Amonkhet, and a lot of people have actually agreed that the blue cyclers tend to be a little bit better creatures, you know. A 5/5 hexproof is a lot better than what you get out of the Jund colors. A 4/4 flyer for 4 is actually castable, as well as, you know, has the upside of scrying. And a really fun thing, if you move to hand size and discard, you get to scry. And Windcaller Aven, while 6 mana for a 4/3 flyer isn't great, it does have some tricksiness with being able to give like your Striped Riverwinder or your Desert Ceradon flying. So on top of that, we got 2 extra cards in the deck. Jim really wanted a 4th Ingot Chewer, but he thought he might want one main, so we're going to test that. And he really liked the one of Simian Spirit Guide, as it gave the deck a lot of play. So, what's the appeal to playing all these blue cards? Well, the appeal is you get to play Force of Negation in your main. So, Living End will typically be going off. It can go off on your turn, but for the most part, you'll be going off on your opponent's turn. One of ours is an enchantment, but the other one's an instant. So, when you try to go off on your opponent's turn, and they have a counter spell, you can Force of Negation it. So that's the big draw to it. We'll see how it feels. It looked pretty good for Jim, and I'm interested to try it out. But now the way that we're going to win, for those of you who don't know what Living End is, as you see, we don't play any 1 or 2 CMC spells. The reasoning for that is we play the cards that have the Cascade mechanic. We have Violent Outburst, and in this version we have Ardent Plea, which some other play Demonic Dread. So we have 8 Cascade spells, and the only spells they can hit are 3 copies of Living End, which essentially will be a free Wrath our opponent's board and bring our graveyard back to our battlefield, which is why we're cycling so many creatures. So that's basically what this deck does. It's pretty much a one-trick pony on that, and we're going to see how it goes. Moving on to the sideboard, we have some interactive spells here, and we got 3 more copies of Ingot Chewer, as a lot of the hate for us is going to be artifacts. You know, Tormod's Crypts, Graph Digger's Cage doesn't actually stop us, but things like Tormod's Crypts or Chalice of the Void is pretty awkward. Any Relic of Progenitus, for example, things like that. We have a copy of Wear Tear, because it's basically the 5th Ingot Chewer, but it can also hit enchantments like Leyline of the Void, but those have been on the downtick. A couple Dismembers and a couple Dead Gones for some removal. And then we have, moving on to a little bit more heavy hitting cards, we have 2 copies of Ricochet Trap, as basically our 5th and 6th Force of Negation. It's just a way to basically counter the counter spells. Some Fulminator Mages, which Jim said he might want to go up on Fulminators, but he wasn't really sure what he could cut from the sideboard. So we're still sticking with the 2 to try to give us a little help against the big mana decks. 2 copies of Timely Reinforcements for against Burn. and then a one of mystical teachings for being able to find our violent outbursts or our force of negations, depending on what we need. So that's the deck. But before we get on to the games, as per usual, I gotta hop over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com and tell you guys to check out this place. If you're looking for any Magic the Gathering cards, Mom's Basement Games is the place to go. They have the best prices, a great card selection. If you're looking for Rat Colony for your Pauper Rat Colony deck, some Chandra Acolyte of Flames for your standard elemental decks, now that rotation just happened on Arena anyways, and is coming up on paper. If you need some Narset Parter of Veils for your blue-white control, or some History of Benalia for some Night Tribal, Mom's Basement Games has you covered. If you're watching on YouTube, check down in the description box below for all the links I'm going to talk about, but also try to tune in live to our Twitch sometime. We'd super appreciate it. Everybody watching live on Twitch right now, and on YouTube in the future, thank you, but please try to give us a like on Facebook, as well as follow us on Twitter at MomsBasementMTG. For everyone watching on Twitch right now, make sure to hop over to our YouTube page for the best standard, modern, legacy, vintage, commander, and pauper content. On top of that, I would super appreciate if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter is at RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, League of Legends, memes, music, anything else you want to talk about, hit me up there. I'm always willing to talk. If you're looking for any other forms of social media to find us at, you can find Mom's Basement Games on Instagram at Mom's Basement Games, or you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But alright guys, as per usual, that's enough talking. What do you say we hop into this league and get Living on some ends? So, Living End was one of the bigger graveyard decks for a long time in Modern. Really up until, you know, like the Dredge deck came about, and let's see, when Dredge came around, when people really started realizing the power of Faithless Looting, that's when this deck kind of fell off. And you even seen it somewhat with Faithless Looting with things like the enchantment As Foretold or Electrodominance. But now that Faithless Looting is gone, this is going to be the primary way to cast Living End. Alright, our opponent won the die roll. We're going to give him the GLHF as per usual. But yeah, so now there's the Arclight Phoenix decks are gone. The Hogak decks are gone. And, so this is kind of an awkward hand. It's fine because we have some cyclers. It does have an interactive card, an Ingot Chewer, but it has one of our two Living Ends in hand, which is really awkward. I don't think this deck actually has any black source in its mana base, if I remember right. So we're actually never casting this Living End. So it's kind of like an automatic mold to 6. But I think I'd keep this on 6, so we're going to go ahead and try it. I'm not quite a Living End professional. This is actually like my first time in a long time playing the deck. One of my friends, Alex, built the deck a long time ago and has had it in Modern ever since, really. Stomping Ground off this Bloodstained Mire probably means Scape Shift, which can be, oh, okay. Or it means Nimble Mongoose. We're here to party. So we have a Cycler, and I don't want to shock if I don't have to. So I'm going to just lead on Island and pass and cycle this Glass Dusk this turn. And then I'll cycle with a land next turn if I have to. Man, I'm really in. I don't know what our opponent's doing, but I'm in on it. I love me some Nimble Mongoose. The goose is loose. Cycle Street Wraith. Maybe like Grixis Death Shadow. Another Street Wraith. So Street Wraith is pretty awkward against us, because it means that they're going to have blockers. So we'll just have to put enough to be able to kill them. Alright, we'll take the 1 here. What you got, opponent? Nothing? Alright, we're going to go ahead and cycle. Alright, so we drew a Painless land, which is good. So we'll go ahead and play this Spire Bluff and pass. Just trying to find our Cascade spell now. This Ingot Chewer, probably not great here. That is kind of the downside of having the one of in the main. is there are some matchups that it's going to just be dead against. Interesting, our opponent fetch tapped. It makes me wonder if they are Death Shadow or not. Maybe they're just like a more aggressive Jund deck. Oh, it's Hollow One. Maybe it's Hollow One? I have no idea. Unfortunately, our opponents put a lot of creatures in the graveyard, which is kind of the awkward thing with Living End is you're in kind of an awkward spot if your opponent has ways to put things in the graveyard. Aaron Mesa from our opponent. And we're going to go ahead and cycle this Desert Ceradon. And another land. Alright, there's our Cascade spell. But I don't really think we want to cast it here yet. Because we're not really... we won't be ahead on board, really. So I think we're going to just cycle on our turn here. Okay, we drew another cycler. So let's go ahead and cycle. Then we drew a Spirit Guide. Alright. So I'm not super worried about dying next turn. And again, I just kind of want to get as many creatures in the yard as possible. So I think we're actually going to fetch Shock here. And we're just going to evoke this Ingot Chewer. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 to their 4 creatures right now. Which, not the best, but... yeah, we might just have to Living End next turn. Hopefully our opponent doesn't put more creatures in the yard. That would make me sad. So yeah, next turn we're probably just going to Ardent Plea and get back all of the... oh no! Oh, that's a Nambo, actually. I really don't like this Ingot Chewer in the main. Jim recommended trying it, but it destroys our Glass Dust Hulk. The Nambos. So we're actually even on creatures. That is no bueno, as the kids say. We do have to fetch Shock again, too, which stinks. Back to us, the opponent says. Okay. So, we're going to just play a Misty. And I want to try to get more creatures. So, we're actually going to just cast a Simian Spirit Guide. And then pass the turn. 1, we don't have to fetch Shock this way. And 2, that's just another creature in the yard. Because ultimately when you Living End on the next turn, you want to try to one-shot your opponent. Opponent gets a Stomping Ground tapped. Still interested in what's 100% going on over there. I think it's Hollow One, but I'm not 100% sure on that. All right, so we're gonna move to blocks, and we're gonna block with this monkey. All right, it worked. We did it, Chief. Here we'll just get a Temple Garden off our Misty. I think we're in a Violent Outburst to get everything back. Because that means we get the first combat. Okay, so they are Death Shadow. Interesting. So we'll grab a Temple Garden tapped here. Perfect. Exactly what we were looking for. So we're going to go ahead and cycle. And play our land. And pass the turn to our opponent. So now we have 8 in the air. I'm going to declare no blocks and see what my opponent does. So they choose not to fetch or shock. Do we want to cycle this? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 4 ground creatures and the 2 in the air. Nah, I think we just want to, well, yeah, I think it just doesn't hurt. We'll fetch and shock off a hollowed fountain this time. Red, green, whatever. Violent outburst. I would like to Cascade opponent. They are uncertain about that. Ooh. Opponent's getting a little tricksy. Bolting their own Death Shadow there. So we will still go ahead and cast this Living End. Unfortunately, we don't have a choice to not destroy an artifact. So now what we can do is we can attack our opponent. There's the goof. Oh, I could have used that to push lethal. Huh. Okay, well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to cycle. Because I think we're just going to end up living ending again. I don't want to go in bolt range, which is notable. Because you can block, 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 block. So what does cycling this do? If we draw one of these, we can win the game, so I think it's worth it. We'll bottom that one. Alright, I don't like cycling that one. So we'll attack for 8 in the air. If our opponent had double bolt, I think they would have just shot us in the face. So our opponent takes 8. And then we're going to go ahead and cast ourselves another Living End. I would like to cast this one. So this will put us, they're at 2. They'll have a mongoose, and we'll have 3 creatures in play. Alrighty, go ahead, opponent. Not sure what our opponent's out could be. Dang, that was a wild game. Alright, so we're up 1-0 against what looks like Jund Death Shadow with Nimble Mongoose. And also Goblin Lore, which is interesting. So what's not great? I don't know what form of graveyard hate they're going to bring in. I think the Dead Gons are probably pretty bad. Ricochet Trap is probably pretty bad. Timely doesn't seem like where we want to be. Neither does Fulminator. So now we have 7 things to consider. Trimming or cutting. Street Wraiths seem okay in this. I could see maybe only wanting like 3 of these effects. The Teaching seems good because I feel like they have discard spells. The Spirit Guide can probably go because we don't need to go very fast. And you know what? I actually don't think Force is very good here. I think Force is pretty awkward in this matchup because we'll rarely want to 2-for-1 ourselves for it. So yeah, we just kind of cycle and try to disrupt them a little bit with like Dismember and maybe if they have anything. And I don't really want anything in my sideboard here, so I'm pretty happy with this. The Ingot Chewer Glass Dusk Hulk thing is kind of awkward, but not much we can do about it. Alright, our opponent has decided to be on the play. And if we were playing Hearthstone, this hand would be great. But unfortunately we're not, so we're going to mulligan. And this hand is really good. We were hoping to find a few more cyclers, but we have some early removal. We have plenty of ways to Cascade, so it'll be hard for our opponent to take them away. And I think we're going to send one of the Ardent Pleas to the bottom. Uh-oh. Well, that's the one card I don't expect to see a lot of play, and we only have the one Wear Tear for, unfortunately. So, it's about trying to find that now. So I think we're going to go and play Misty and pass. We're not under a ton of pressure, so I don't really want to cycle unless we have to. Because we do still lose those cards. With Leyland, like, I know it's not gonna be a prevalent card in the format, but the fact that it's still a card maybe means you want to go up on Wear Tears in this build. Maybe you just want like a second Wear Tear in the deck. Okay, well, good thing about this Goyf is we can just fetch our island and dismember it. So we want to try to keep our opponent's threats down. Play this Temple Garden tapped and pass. We can always try to just start casting our threats. So we're missing a land drop, so I'm going to cycle this Street Wraith here. And then I think we're going to cycle this. Yikes. Alright, no land drop this turn, so we'll pass it on. We need a third land anyways to combo, so I wasn't worried about the red source right away. And I didn't really feel like taking 2 extra damage. What is this? Well, we are officially on the hard cast our idiots plan. So we're going to cycle this one because it costs 7. And not hit, so pass. Alright, nothing from our opponent, back to us. And another dismember, so we'll cycle away. Bam, found a land drop. So that one's going to definitely get us a red source. Again, I don't want to shock if I don't have to. So I'll just get a Steam Vents tapped. This is the thing, like, our opponent's not doing anything. So just grab a Steam Vents tapped here. Go on to our turn. Go ahead and cycle this Ceradon. Yeah, we really need to hit our land drop, so I'll cycle this as much as I want it. Alright, there's our land drop. And back to you, opponent. So what we can do is we can just build up a big enough board to eventually like one-shot our opponent. And if our opponent ever does anything, we have 3 board wipes in our hand, essentially. Alright. Time to get on the beater plan. Go inspect your curator of mysteries. Curious as to what the 5 cards in our opponent's hand are. They might just be a bunch of lands. Might have kept a loose one based, or a bunch of like things to pump their goifs. Trophy. That's rude, and we only have 1 basic. Oof. Land? Alright. Well, we're going to fetch shock here, getting... I think just another Temple Garden. And we're going to cast another idiot. Get in there, Glass Dusk Hulk. Notably, we need to be careful about Bolt now. So we got our 3-turn clock here. Alright, opponent. Interesting that they left in so much removal. Well, this is uncastable, so we may as well put it to use. Well, we can't play around Bolt, so... Not if we want to play Magic. If we die to Bolt here, it sucks, but, like... We also can't just sit here and do nothing, you know? Hey, what's up, Nate? Thanks for the, 4th month of Twitch Prime. I super appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna try to keep it coming against some interesting version of Jund Death Shadow. He's playing one of my favorite cards in Nimble Mongoose, but he's also still playing Leyline of the Void in 2019. Alright, Desert Ceradon, you got this, bud. We can't cast this Dismember in our hand. Alright. So our opponent has Rakdos Charm and Leyline of the Void. This is going to be tough with our Singleton Wear Tear. Seeing what we've seen, I don't really want these Ingot Chewers. And I feel like I'd almost rather have these Fulminators, just has earlier bodies that can also disrupt our opponent. I'm not really interested in Force of Negation, like I said. Going down on that many cards isn't great. I think the Wear Tear can be good, though. It can just nab a leyline from time to time. And you know what? We're going to bring in the Spirit Guide just as a 2-2 beater. Because if our opponent has 2 leylines, we literally can't do anything. So, we're going to try this. I would love to be on the play. And yeah, this hand's really good. Our opponent mulligans down to 5. So yeah, one thing with Living End is, as you see in that game, like, we cast a lot of threats. And this hand is very castable. Yep. So just like the last game, we're probably just going to be on the cast and threats plan here. I am not afraid to go turn 3 Simian Spirit Guide, turn 4 Curator of Mysteries, turn 5 Glass Dusk Hulk. Especially when my opponent mulligan down to 4, essentially. They cycle a Street Wraith. We haven't seen any discard from our opponent either, which is unique. So here, we need double blue, so it's one of these 3. We'll get a Steam Vents, I think. Alrighty, we'll just go ahead and play the Misty and pass. Again, we got ourselves a plan, and it's very angry critters. Our opponent shocks. That means they probably have a Death Shadow in hand, but I think we just have to not care. Alright. Now this time, I think we just grab the Hallowed Fountain. We're also never going to grab our island, which we did in game 1, because we know that they have trophy now. Alright, get in there, Simian Spirit Guide. Two beatdown plan engaged. Opponent paid 4 life to kill our Simian Spirit Guide. Deal. Bring on the Death Shadow. We'll try to race it. We also can just wipe it out of here. Yep. Alright, so here we have an interesting choice. We can either kill the Death Shadow or try to race it. I think I like just killing the Death Shadow, because it also puts a Exalted trigger on our battlefield. So go, Ardent Plea, board wipe numero uno of 3. Yeah, you can have a 3/4. I will take my 3 damage. This matchup seems rough. If our opponent was playing anything other than Leyline of the Void, I think this matchup would be a lot easier, but Leyline's pretty hard for our configuration to beat right now. Well. We'll just grab the Temple Garden here. Okay. What if we just set up to try to OTK our opponent? So if we ever get them to fetch, they're gonna die. Is essentially the plan. Alright, I'll take 5, opponent. Why didn't I play a land? That's the real question. Alright, we'll take 8. Well, that one does nothing. Huh. So, how do we win? I think we need to draw wear tear and to cycle this into board wipe. So, like, if they have a bolt, they have a bolt. These games just haven't really gone our way, but I mean, like, if our opponent's going to play Leyline of the Void when there's no Faithless looting, like, sure. We'll block. Yeah. Well, that's literally the worst draw in our 75. So we Violent Outburst, give them a Death Shadow and a street, or no, yeah, give them a Death Shadow and a Street Wraith. Not many other options. Yeah, I mean, Leyline of the Void is like nearly impossible for Living End to beat because they typically don't have any good answers to it. Because you can't play things like Abrupt Decay, or not Abrupt Decay, but like Assassin's Trophy. So enchantments are pretty hard for this deck to deal with. And yep, we're dead. Unfortunate, kind of a super rough matchup to Q into round 1. At least 2 of Leyline of the Voids in their sideboard. Street Wraith, Goblin Lore deck. So, you know. When you play graveyard decks like this, you kind of just openly admit that those losses are going to happen. Like, it's the same thing when you play artifact decks. Like, if people really want to beat you, they're going to beat you. Living End a little more than, like Dredge or... This hand's good, by the way. We just got to find a Cascade spell. But, like, Living End a little more than others because of the reasoning you've seen exactly in that game. Where, if your opponent can also put creatures in the graveyard, it gets pretty awkward. But, like, live by the sword, die by the sword. Tron is also a pretty rough matchup for Living End because of cards like Oblivion Stone and Ugin. What are we getting here? Just the Steam Vents. They also typically play main deck Relic. Draw another land here. And back to us. Alright. Spire Bluff isn't bad. We really didn't want another land there, but it's fine. We really just need to get a Cascade spell here shortly. This is one of the matchups where where Force of Negation is good, but the non-Force of Negation versions get to play Simian Spirit Guides, which allow for a lot more explosiveness. So our opponent grabs their power plant. We're going to cycle our little heart out some more here. So they will have Tron next turn. And we're going to cycle again. Got the old playset of Misty Rainforests in our hand. Okay. 12, 13, 14. That's only 16, unfortunately. So the nut draw there would have been the Simian Spirit Guide, notably. Because it means we could outburst plus cycle and kill them. I think we still might be in a fine spot. So we're going to Misty Pass and see what they do. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to put this Curator in the graveyard. Because then when we Living End back, we actually have 20. Our opponent's name is Mental Misstep. I like it. Karn the Great Creator. Sure. Hopefully you don't play Trinisphere. That resolves. Well. Alright, well. We kind of just got to hope our opponent doesn't have a board wipe or an Ugin here. Not really any way to play around it, unfortunately. This is a matchup where Force of Negation is great, but unfortunately we didn't draw it. Green, red, whatever. Violent Outburst. Cast Living End. Hope my 16 power is good enough. Oh man, so many lands. So if we hit another Violent Outburst, we can kill our opponent. And I think that's our out. So we're going to fetch an island. And we're going to cycle. We will scry that to the bottom. That is not a Violent Outburst. Alright. The reason Violent Outburst was lethal there, by the way, is just the +1/+0. So I think we have to kill Karn and 12 our opponent and then hope they don't have something to get them back into this game. So go ahead and take your 12 here. Because if they can Wrath our board, we actually have enough lands in our hand that we can eventually... Oh, it's Eldrazi Tron. Wait, no, they Sylvan Scryinged. I don't know what our opponent's up to, but it's spicy. It's like mono green. Well, that's what we didn't want to see, opponent. It's like mono green Eldrazi Tron. So we're going to cycle this now because we want to get our scry on. Sure, that's just another scry. We'll cycle that one off white. So essentially what we're trying to set up here, and the reason why I'm topping all of these cyclers is they technically dig us deeper as opposed to a blind draw. And what we're trying to find here is... Well, these don't matter. Oh, sure. We're trying to find another Cascade spell here. Instead, we're going to find a lot of lands. And I mean a lot of lands. Alright, well, we'll Arid Mesa and pass to our opponent. So now if we draw a Cascade spell, we can Cascade in Living End through Trinosphere. Ha! Joke's on you, opponent. My hand sucks. And a Matter Shaper. You got it. There's no harm in fetching here, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There actually is. But we're never beating a Smasher anyways, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I mean, we're just never beating a Smasher anyways. We need to be able to Living End. We'll just grab another Temple Garden here. I mean, that's an out. White, blue, whatever. Cast our Living End. Pay our 3 mana. And get a really swole board. That hopefully our opponent doesn't have another answer to. Alright, opponent. No. That'd be good if this wasn't here. And our hand wasn't just 5. Oh, the value. The Matter Shaper off the Matter Shaper. Brings a tear to my eye. It's so good. Alright, well, we snuck out that game 1. Notably, they usually don't have a lot of graveyard hate because they play the Karn package. So what's bad here? Ingot Chewer seems great because typically they're a Chalice of the Void deck, which makes us really sad. Alright, well those are the only easy cuts, unfortunately. This bouncing a Thought Knot is probably too cute. The Spirit Guide might actually be nice. The Mystical Teachings is definitely too slow. I like Force because Force can counter like Chalice and things. I think the Fulminators just won't do enough here. They don't really care about having Tron or anything, so. I think we maybe only want 3 Ingot Chewers. I think we just really don't want 5 of these effects. Glass Dusk is our weakest cycler. Still leaves us with 20. Maybe the Spirit Guide's too cute after all. And for the last cut, we're kind of low on blue spells. Maybe we have to trim 2 forces. 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, this is only 15 blue cards after all. 19, my bad. Yeah, that's probably enough for 3. Tell me I got that off. Phew. We were going down to the wire there. Sorry, chat. I wasn't counting the Ardent Pleas in the deck, which we can technically pitch to force. So I think we're able to support 3, but I don't think we're able to support 4. This deck might not really be able to support 4 in general. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. No, it can. It's at 23. Our opponent mulligans. Are we going to mulligan? No, this hand's pretty fine. We have cyclers. We have an answer to Chalice or any artifact. We have a Cascade spell. This is exactly what we want. Blue card to pitch to force if we need to. Expedition map from our opponent. I'm really trying to debate how greedy we get. I'm wondering if we can get Chewer down this expedition map. How much it messes up our opponent. Because we have force for anything else, realistically. Call me greedy, but I'm going to do it. Ooh, and we don't have to shock for it. Oh, baby. Go, go, Ingot Chewer. Get that expedition map out of here. Hope you didn't need it. Sure. Can't do anything about that one. Alright, well, more lands. So we're going to go ahead and just play... We're going to play Flooded Trance. It doesn't actually matter. I don't know why I was thinking about that so hard. Three, 6, 10, 16 power. So if our opponent can't guarantee Tron... Oh. Well, that's awkward. Well, this is unfortunate, but I think we have to do what we got to do. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm not ballsy enough to not force this. We're going to force that pitching Curator, unfortunately. Our opponent does only have 2 cards in hand. Please don't be a relic. Okay, that one's fine. So okay then. I didn't click anything, but alright, Moda. I guess that's whatever. What does Flooded Strand pass? Sure. And we're going to let this ability resolve because it doesn't actually matter. So I have to take 6 here where I should have only had to have taken 4. And then the question is, do we just living end for 12 power? I think the answer is no. Interesting. I'm going to make sure we're not F6 or anything. Is this like a Sylvan Scrying? Sure. So it's actually less life for us to not living end here. Because it's 5 as opposed to 6. So I think we're going to take this hit. Because if we can find another cycler, we'll be in business. Because 12 just isn't... They only have 1 card in hand. But, like, they go up to 2 with Reshaper. And I just don't... 12 power is good. But I'd rather try to have a little bit more. Like, any other creature in our deck should make it to where our opponent can't cast like a... Can't cast like a Dismember, for example. So we're going to make sure we fetch here. Our opponent's going to think about our fetch. I mean, if you have like... If you have some kind of graveyard hate, like, sure. We'll grab another Steam Vents. That's what our mana is mainly. Exactly, like that. That's exactly what I was hoping to draw. Is something along those lines. Something that puts it to 16 damage. Now I'm going to let it go to our opponent's turn because we can respond to anything they have. So what we're going to do is we're going to fetch an island. And then Violent Outburst. I will declare no blocks. I will fetch. I will grab the Island. I will wait on my opponent. And I'll Psycho Curator of Mysteries. Okay. Be something we can cycle and potentially get back if we ever have to living end again. And we're gonna cast a living end off a violent outburst here. 6, 7, 6. So this is actually also really good on me for avoiding, because now the violent outburst actually 20s our opponent. So as long as our opponent doesn't get a creature off Reshaper, which of course they do. They're so good at hitting Reshaper into Reshaper. So we unfortunately don't have lethal next turn now. But we still do a bunch of damage. Have they just been like holding on to the All Is Dust this whole time? I mean, if they have, it's fine. I think this is just like an Ugin, though. Oh, it's Karn for Bridge? Because Karn for Lattice doesn't do it, right? Like, if it's Karn for Lattice, their last card has to be a way to wipe our board in order for it to be good enough. But yeah, Karn for Bridge makes a lot of sense. They play their Bridge, and their last card, which was a Star. So we will evoke this Ingot Chewer. Blowing up this set ensnaring bridge. We'll shock just in case we need to put this into play. Swing the unblockable one at Karn and the rest at them. Sure. So you go to 14, Karn dies. And you reveal. Another Karn the Great Creator. So that might be a problem for us. Not sure what our opponent could have, but we will find out, I'm sure. This is, like I said, one of our rougher matchups, but we've been hanging in there pretty well. With the inclusion of Sylvan Scrying, it makes me wonder if our opponent even has. Interesting. So I feel like that means they might not have anything with Karn that can stop us. But so yeah, with the inclusion of green, they just might not be able to... They might not be playing like Chalice of the Void. Let's see what they tutor up. A Worm Coil. Okay. That one's going to be kind of annoying for us. So what we want to find is we want to be able to rattle off 2 of those cyclers that give flying. I think that's what we're going to try to do here. That guy. So we're actually going to keep him on top. And we're not going to use him on our turn, at the end of turn. We're going to wait till our turn. So this is a free cycle, or a free scry, basically. We'll bottom that. That doesn't do it, so we will cycle this. Choose to give Desert Celadon flying. We'll bottom that land again. We will cycle Desert Celadon to scry. And that's what we need for lethal. Cycle, give... Oh, that's an ingot chewer. Oh, I thought it was a Celadon for some reason. So now we need either another one or a land in case they try to wipe our board. So we 10 them, put them to 4. If they attack... I might have punted by just mislooking at what I had. Okay. So we attack. Do we have to kill Karn? So we put them down to 4. They go up to 10. We have lethal in play. If we have to living end, we still have lethal in play. So I'm actually going to leave this land on top. So we have these wing callers that we can get back, and then we can just kill our opponent in the air if we need to. But that's only if our opponent wipes our board, because if they attack, we still have lethal. So we'll play our land. We will attack Karn and attack our opponent for 10. So I guess this wasn't really a punt, but it was kind of awkward. Interesting how even a simple deck like this can have a lot of minute things that might affect your game. So yeah, our opponent has to attack. And we still have lethal through them gaining 6, so we're just going to block. There was no reason that I didn't fetch there. Other than I'm a dummy. Put that on bottom. We don't really need that. Wear tear's a good one. Attempt to kill you. I would like to destroy your worm coil engine before you can to gain 4. Which is the GG's. Oh, because it's... Brr. You're tricky, opponent. This is fine. Ignore the burning hellscape behind me. This is fine. Opponent goes to... I'm apparently trying my hardest for us to lose this game, but... Okay, so... Worm Coil... Matter Shaper, Thought Knot. So if I Living End with this on the stack, there should be nothing our opponent can do to win. Alright, we don't have red mana. I told you I am doing everything possible to not win this game. Wow. Fuck me. Yeah, we'll block, I guess. Holy fuck, I'm bad at this game. If we lose this game, it is strictly because I apparently really wanted to. So we have to Living End now. Because otherwise we die to the Thought Knots here. There's a bunch of triggers on the stack. I'm totally sorry. What I should have done is I should have waited until my opponent went to blocks, then destroyed the Death Touch token. And then there was probably no way we lose this game. Now, I think we're in a good spot, but there's chances we can lose this game. Alright, what did you draw, opponent? Was it good enough to make me lose? I hope not. Alright, so they're attacking with the squad. So we have to go to blocks. And we need them not to hit a Walking Ballista. Sure. This looks good enough. So they go to 8, and we have 8 power in play. They hit a power plant. This one hits. Us winning the match. All right. So we're 1-1 even through some extraordinarily bad play, which I apologize for. I, for some reason, thought they had went to nature's... I didn't pay attention to what phase we were in. In paper, there would have been communication that it was before blocks. And I would have not done that. Hopefully. But we still got there through the power of Living End. And now we are waiting for our third match to pop. While we are waiting for said third match to pop, I want to remind you guys to hop on over and give us a follow here on Twitch, as everyone following our channel will be entered into our monthly giveaways. And if you want extra entries into our monthly giveaways, which, to give you an idea of what we give away, we've given away a playset of foil tarmogoyphs, we've given away boxes of Guilds of Ravnica, and we have given away one of each of the commander decks. So, if you say, you know, those are some pretty good giveaways, I'd really like more ways to enter than just by, you know, having the luck of everyone that follows you, there are ways to earn some extra entries. If you subscribe to our Twitch channel, you will earn an extra entry into our giveaways. On top of, if you donate to our Patreon, you will earn another chance at our giveaways. So that is 3 total ways to get entered into our giveaways. And best of luck to you all in the future. I'm going to take a drink of the high quality H2O while we wait for an opponent. Riveting. So anyone in chat, you got any questions for me? What's your guys' plans for the weekend? You got any pre-releases you plan to go to? I think I'm going to sit out on pre-release this time. The set's pretty cool, but I don't know. I'd rather just spend my money on cards I know I'm going to use. Hit our opponent with the GLHF as usual. And as per usual, our hand is fine. We got some cyclers, got some lands. Not much else you can look for in Living End. And we're against the old burn skis. Which is why we got the old time skis in our sideboard skis. So I think we have to shock, unfortunately. As I just want to cycle as much as I can. And we can't get our basic with this. I understand there not being another color of basic, but it's kind of awkward. Come on. Thank you. I'll take your 1 opponent. I'll take your 5 opponent. In second main phase, they'll suspend a Rift Bolt. We will go ahead and cycle. Okay. It's not a bad one. That's a good one. Anything that preserves our life total is a good draw in my eyes. So I'm going to let this Rift Bolt through. Typically, you only really want to counter the things that are going to kill you. Sunbaked from our opponent. Still no blockers, unfortunately. 3-6. Yep, skull crack happens. And now we're going to go ahead and cycle a Ceradon. And then we're going to 6, 10, 14. Still not quite lethal, but we're trying. Alright, now with burn, there is no difference between 3 and 1 when we're going to be killing their creatures. So, we're going to shock and pass it on to our opponent. And hope they don't have more than 1 burn spell. That looks like not more than 1 burn spell. I will declare no blocks. I will then attempt to cast Violent Outburst with Cascading into Living End. I forget our opponent gets to see, like, our deck. I will Force of Negation, pitching Glass Dusk Hulk. I will attack for 10. Just 10? Just 10. Just 10. We'll leave a blocker back just in case. We got hard cast force up, and hopefully our opponent can't kill us. I would like to force that opponent. Come on, one time no burn spell. Oh. Woo! We did it, boys! We evaded the burn spells. All right. That's how you do it. You live on the edge, you clench your butt cheeks a little bit, and you pray. Then you first cut Street Wraith from your deck. That's how you beat that deck. I'm not expecting a lot of hate from them, so I'm pretty comfortable just, taking a lot of this stuff out. Ricochet Trap, what do you do? Pay red only. Change the target of a spell. Yeah, you're a lot of mana. I think we just kind of want to do our thing and try to do it fast. If we can turn to a timely reinforcements, though, whoo, baby. We don't really want these fulminators either. Yeah, maybe we'll leave in the wear tear. Yeah, I'm pretty cool with this. Little extra removal. A thing in case they have an out, which I don't expect, but they might. And some good old timely reinforcements. Because who doesn't love being timely? I know I do. I could see one of these ingot chewers in the sideboard maybe becoming a third timely. Because I see this matchup being pretty rough. Alright, well, we unfortunately have a living end in our hand, which nobody likes. But we have a living end that we actually like. And a removal spell. And a cycler. So I don't think we can complain too much. And we have a Spire Bluff Canal, which is great. Alright, opponent, what you got? What you got? What you got? Goblin Guide. Goblin Guide. Alrighty. Well, Goblin Guide can't get pumped. He can't get pumped up, so I'm just going to pass here. We see a young Taylor Swift Spear here. And a Rift Bolt on Suspend. Violent Outburst on top, they say. What are the odds we need to kill a creature here? We're probably never getting a chance to kill Taylor again. Yeah, fine. I feel like it's more damage in the long run to keep the Taylor around, so we're going to get her out of here. We're going to take a Rift Bolt Skis upstairs. And a Skewer. And then a Skewer. And then a Goblin Guide. And then a Cycle. So we unfortunately don't have a choice but to go below here. So I think we're going to have to go to 3, which is scary. I don't like it, chat. I don't like being at 3. 3 is where you die. The question is, the age-old question, what's the difference between 3 and 1? And can we afford to cycle twice? I think we're just so much more likely to win 8 if we can hit them twice, as opposed to just beating them down with a single 4-3. So we're going to live on the edge a little bit. We're going to get our bicycling on. And now I was supposed to fetch first. Or we're going to do that. I like that one. Oh, fuck you, opponent. Fucking slow rolling me. I see how you are. They just wanted the info that we were playing timely. You jerks. You got my hopes up. You only gonna break my heart. Alright. We're gonna run it back. I like this 60. I don't like the burn matchup, but I like this 60. So. This hand has it all. But it could also do nothing. I think it's the classic 7 or 6 first mulligan's free. By first mulligan's free, I mean you always get punished for mulliganing. No, this hand's fine. It's the same thing except we get to put our living end into our deck. So it's basically the same hand. But the way this hand is, I'm honestly going to get basic island. Good old Taylor. Always coming into town. She's just here to shake it off. So we'll grab basic island and we'll do the old cycle here. Alright, there we go. That's what we like to see. That's how the kids say how we drew it up. Pass it on to you, opponent. Rift Bolt on suspend. I prefer my Rift Bolt on ice. So it's back to that question. Do we counter it if it's not going to kill us? I think the answer is still no. Because I'd rather counter that Rift Bolt that's going to kill our 4-3. So this hurts. But you got to do what you got to do. Because we need a land for next turn. Well. Was not expecting the old Ravenous trap out of burn. Guess we gave him a free point of damage there. This is how we die. This is how we die. We were so close, chat. And then they had the Ravenous Trap. I mean, hey. I think Burn should play some form of Graveyard Hate. I don't know that Ravenous Trap is necessarily it. I think Ravenous Trap is like the least interactive one. Personally in Burn, I'd probably play Relic of Progenitus because it replaces itself. So. But you know, our opponent got us, so who are we to say? So we're 1-2 in our league right now. I think this deck's fine. I think this deck has always kind of had a problem with other linear decks. So you're always going to have trouble with like your burns with a deck like this. And then Shadow puts creatures in the yard, as we've seen. So same thing. This is basically a 6 that has to find another land to do anything. Has to find 2 lands to do anything. So, pretty comfortable mulliganing this. Yeah, like, this hand is significantly better. Easy keep. Easy keep, and I think just a bottom on this Temple Garden. Just go ahead and play the old Arid Mesa pass. Waterlogged Grove pass. Not one you see every day. I would like to shock and cycle a Desert Ceratops. Ceradon? Ceradon. I would then like to shock in this Hollowed Fountain and pass. Maybe like Teamer Delver. Double Waterlogged Grove. Oh! We're just gonna go ahead and cycle. I'll take 1 Pact of Negation, please. Yep. Allosaur do 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 do. Allosaur do 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 do. Allosaur do 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 do. Allosaur. Welcome to modern do 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 do. Welcome to modern do 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 do. Welcome to modern do 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 do. That's Crystal Brand. We are dead do 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 do. We are dead do 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 do. We are dead do 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 do. We are dead. Where was my force do 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 do? Where was my force do 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 do? Where was my force do 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 do? Where's my force? So this is a matchup that obviously having Force of Negation in our deck, really good against. Really bad when you can't find force. Because, we're real dead. Real dead, chat. I'm gonna let my opponent, you know, just have their fun. It's the point of them playing that deck, you know. Notice. Small notice. I'll mention to you guys because you can't see it. As like I said, I always say good luck, have fun to my opponent. My opponent just typed GL, which just means good luck. He didn't put the have fun. Because this opponent is a true gentleman and knows that no matter what, I'm not having fun this round. I'm either going to sit here and watch my opponent whack off for however long it takes, or my opponent's going to do the same thing with me. So, props on you, opponent. Props on you. Yeah, we're going to die here, and nothing we can really do about it. You just kind of take your lumps sometimes. Our first hand would have been great because we had force in it. And we're dead. All right. How to sideboard in this matchup, huh? The real discussions. This card might do something. This card probably does nothing. These do nothing. These do nothing. These probably actually do more. These do nothing, I assume. Oddly enough, I want mystical teachings in this matchup to be able to find force of negation. As funny as that is. I think the ricochet traps are going to be too cute. And I guess we just trim non-blue cyclers. 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. 19 cyclers is pretty low, though. Yeah, that's probably not a realistic way to win. Fulminator might actually do something, especially on the play. So yeah, I think we're gonna try this. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We have a pretty high blue count here. So, all right, what do we got here? Well, this hand has a lot of living ends. Only one cycler and no force, so we're gonna mulligan. This hand has a force, so we're gonna keep. And we'll put to bottom. Which cycler is the most useless? We'll put you to the bottom. Because we might actually use Fulminator in this matchup. Our opponent has mulligan down to 5. Down to 4. So maybe we'll just get to not show them force this game. Although this is the not scary game for us. The next game is the scary one, where our prizing depends on Neobrand being on the play. Go ahead. Gemstone Mine pass. We notably have to keep a blue card in our hand at all times. Okay. Teachings is basically a second force of negation. Our opponent goes to pass, so we will cycle. Okay. Yeah, we can cycle now. Just really want to try to find our land drop here. Bam, we did it. So next turn we fulminate our opponent, and then we bring back 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 19 power, conveniently. Here we'll just get a Temple Garden. That was bad. I can't cast Fulminator off Temple Garden. That's fine. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We'll try to hit a land. We will try to hit a land. We will try to hit a land. Okay. I will accept that. So next turn we Ardent Plea and have lethal with double Force of Negation back up. I like our odds. Sure. Wild Cantor. Okay. Interesting play by our opponent. Allosaurus Rider. Oh, okay. I would like to force pitching Mystical Teachings. Good game, opponent. All right. So game 3 on the draw against the turn 1 deck. Do we change anything? I don't think so. I think this is just our best shot, right? We just gotta hope they do what they did this game. This hand has Force of Negation, so we will keep. Our opponent reveals Chancellor. Our opponent has an Allosaurus Rider. We will cast Force of Negation, pitching Glass. We had so much fun in interactive Magic. Okay, here's the hoping they whiffed. They whiff, I guess. What a way to lose prizing. Just get the old turn 1 skis. Okay. So you were thinning your deck. Did they whiff? This feels like a whiff. Am I dead yet? With how long our opponent's been paused, I think we did it. I think we skillfully won this matchup by having our opponent not hit a Nourishing Shoal. Okay. All right, opponent. Yep. Okay. We will cycle a street wraith. We'll cycle. We'll pass the turn. You will have 3 pack triggers on the stack opponent. Okay, good games. And that's the reason that deck never got a ban. So, alright. We're 2-2, hoping to scrub the old 3-2 back for Living End. Again, I think this deck's fine. I actually really like it in the meta now, again. I really like the Force of Negations in the main. I think it fixed a lot of problems this deck had. Yeah. This is potentially a turn 2 Living End if we need it. Spire Bluff Canal pass. What do you say about the old Spire Bluff Canal pass opponent? You say Arid Mesa fetch. Alright, it's another burn opponent. I've heard Moto's pretty jock full of burn lately. So to no surprise. Alright, we're gonna take this one here. We're then gonna cycle Glass Dusk Hulk. And we are then going to cycle the Street Wraith. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll see what our opponent does. But if I don't feel close to dead, I'm not going to Violent Outburst because I can just put, like, actual lethal in play. I can put legit 17 power in play if I wait a turn versus having a 3-turn clock otherwise. Sure. I will take a Skewer to the face. So, let me think here. $17 power. Versus... Wait, it's not 17. Because I can't get... Right? Because of this deck's mana base. There really should be a breeding pool or a sacred... Or like... The mana base for this deck is just god-awful. So I have to get this. So with that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I really have to think. So I'm trying to decide if shocking to guarantee lethal is better than not shocking. Oh, we have this force in hand, so there's no way we die. Yeah. So I'm going to shock, cycle this River Winder, and guarantee lethal with force backup. Okay. Because that's actually factually enough to kill our opponent this way. We just have to counter the lethal burn spell. My brain just like wasn't working with the force in my hand. That's why. I will accept your lava spike. I will accept you moving to combat. I will then cycle the striped River Winder. Now with an exile a Simian Spirit Guide. And this is like the situations where Jim was talking about, where he kind of likes like the one of Simian Spirit Guide. Maybe it should be more than one, but like there are just sometimes it lets you sneak things out. Yeah, so we have actual factual lethal in play right now. With force backup. And we're at 4. So there should be no way we can die. Outside of our opponent, like, playing creatures, that is. Okay. Roar. We did it. We got game 1 off burn. Wow, that was a game. So against burn, Street Wraiths came out, Ingot Chewers came out, Ricochet Traps came out, Teachings came out, Dismembers came out, and Fulminators came out. So we boarded in the Dead Gons, the Timelies, and the Wear Tears over the Ingot Chewer in the main and the Street Wraiths. Yeah, we have a good blue count for force. We have our trump card in Timely. We have some extra removal in Dead Gone. Wear Tear is just the best card out of any of these, because it can sometimes hit like a rip if they have it. So I think this is what we're going to try. Yeah, I really think this deck should have at least another Timely in the sideboard. Guess we're mulliganing to 5, right? Yeah, there's no way this hand wins this game. Okay, there's a lot of ways that this 5 can win. We keep this. Yep. Get island, get probably a tap land. Ooh, a spike to start. And pass it to the opponent. This is an Eidolon, I'm guessing. Only reason I can see keeping a 5 where your turn 1 is spike. Unless they just have more graveyard. Unless they have graveyard hate. Helix, sure. grab island, and cycle. Okay. Not quite what we're looking for, but fine cards. Goblin Guide from the opponent. The guide can get on in there. Did not draw us a land, sadly. So we're going to take this 2. And it's pretty awkward because we really don't want to draw that living end. So we have to fetch here, but the question is, do we shock? I think we have to. Because we just really need to get to cast this timely. Alright. Land, please. Man, that's bad for us. Thanks, Moto. Yep. Pass it to the opponent. Man, if we had to land this game too, we were going to be in such a better spot. Because we get to timely and then living end on the next turn. Yeah, we're just dead. Man, kind of unfortunate. Hopefully we can win this last game on the play against living end, or against burn with living end. Again, I didn't see anything we want to change. I really don't like this, but again, just like none of this is better. Street Wraith is the only cycler, but there's no way I'm paying 2 life in this matchup. Yeah. We're just gonna run it. It can kill an Eidolon, worst case. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna keep it. With a land, it's a turn 3 living end. So turn 3 living end with 12 power. So yeah, I think this deck for sure needs at least one other basic. I don't know if it should be a plains, a forest, a mount. I don't know. This mana base has to be hell to try to build. But I think that there probably needs at least one more basic. Probably a mountain. And then, like, if you could fit a plains in here, that'd be great. Because green is really the splash. It's just like a splash for extra Cascade spells. Speak for the devil. Boy, howdy, our draws are bad. Go ahead, opponent. So, like, the thing about Temple Garden is Temple Garden casts Ardent Pleat or Violent Outburst, which is why it's nice. Do we force a Boros Charm? So I think we do. Okay, that's pretty good. The reasoning why I think we force this here, even though it goes against my rule, is Boros Charm is the most damaged spell in their deck. And that's their only turn 2 play here. We optimally really want to find a land and cast Ardent Plea. Thank you. So here we're going to fetch Shock again. Cast Ardent Plea. Cascade into Living End. This with Violent Outburst is lethal next turn. Currently on board. If our opponent doesn't play a creature. They realistically cannot burn us out from here either. Sure. Spike me. Yep. Helix is the one card that changes that math. Okay. So we're going to hit him for 10. We're going to hit him for 11. And we just have to hope to not get burned out now. We did pretty much everything we could, so. I don't think forcing that Boros Charm was incorrect, because it was the most damaging spell before. This mana base is super brutal. That's the one issue with it compared to Jund. Okay. Please don't have 2 spells. Oh well. That's a tough matchup. I mean, yeah, I think one of these Ingot Chewers definitely should be another timely reinforcements. So, as per usual, I like to try to use my brain to figure out what I'd do for this deck if I were to ever play it again. I'm really not sure about this Mystical Teachings. Now to try to figure out this frickin' mana base. This mana base is brutal. We have all 10 fast lands. So maybe... What do we even do, though? Like, that's... Maybe one of these just becomes another Spire Bluff. And then... But, like, we have to keep enough... I really want, like, a painless green-white source in this deck. But that's so bad because it doesn't cast any of our cyclers. So maybe you like just cut this, play random mountain you own. And so now we still have 10 fetches. We still have all of our shocks. And we're up 2 less painful sources. We have our 3rd timely in the board. And its potential, like this mystical, could either become like a fulminator or even just the 4th timely. Because I'm really not set on this card in the board. I like Ricochet Trap, although with Force it might not be needed. I'm not sure. I think you need at least 4 of these effects in the 75. I kind of like the 3-1 split. I really don't want to play 21 lands in this deck. So yeah, I think if I were to play this deck again, this is where I would be. The Dead Gones were good. The Dismembers never really came up, but I'm sure they're fine. Now we don't have to have the random Wear Terran against Burn, which like we drew so we know we would have drawn a timely. Because that's like actually how that swap would have worked. Maybe its potential this main isn't good, but it like you just can't beat a Chalice of the Void. But like maybe that's just like a thing. So maybe like this goes to the side, the Teachings goes, and then we add like a 2nd Simian Spirit Guide into the deck. Because then we can just potentially be faster. Because there's a lot of matchups you just want to try to kill. Yeah. I think this is where, if I were to play this deck again, this is my next step. So, for anyone out there that wants to try this deck, again, this is where I think I would be. Burn feels really tough. It was 2 of our 3 losses, so. And the other one was like a Death Shadow deck, which I think we're realistically not beating because they have like Street Wraiths and stuff. So they were just able to keep their graveyard just as full. So, alright, that's it for the deck. As per usual, though, before we go, I want to hop back over to our sponsor, momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com, and tell you guys to buy your Magic cards from here. They're a great store, great prices, and will have pretty much most of what you're looking for. If you're looking for Rat Colonies for Pauper, Chandra Acolyte of Flames for Elementals and New Standard, Narset for Blue, White, and Modern, and History of Benalia for Night Tribal Anywhere, Mom's Basement Games has you covered. If you're watching on YouTube in the future, check down in that description box below, and you'll find all the links that I'm talking about. But also, you should tune in live on our Twitch sometimes to be able to interact and get in on the action with us. For everybody watching live on Twitch right now and on YouTube in the future, thank you guys. Give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at MomsBasementMTG. For everybody watching on Twitch still, thank you again. And you should try to check out our YouTube at some point for the best Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and Pauper content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you all gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter is at RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, League of Legends, music, memes, anything else you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. For other forms of social media to find us at, you can find Mom's Basement Games on Instagram at Mom's Basement Games, and you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. But with that, I'm about to go get some food and head home to get some sleep. I got to work tomorrow, so hope you guys all have a wonderful Friday.